Hey, Jane. You go ahead and leave that job and come here. I'm gonna have you start taking care of my dad tomorrow.
Huh? What do you mean you want me to leave my job, though? And you want me to come take care of your dad?
Well, I just got a call from my dad a little bit ago. He had a bad call and broke one of his hands.
He broke a hand? That's terrible to hear.
He was trying to get something off the top of one of his shelves, and in doing so, stood on a weak chair. When it broke, he came crashing down on his hands. And you know, my dad is getting up there in age now, right? It ended up breaking one hand and really screwing up the other. So living on his own is going to be impossible for him. So I'm going to have you quit your job and start working full-time as my dad's caregiver.
I'm really worried about your dad and all, but asking me to do that right now is a bit too sudden. First of all, I don't want to quit the job I have right now.
Huh? All you're doing is working a simple job for the city, right? And you're a woman in an office filled with men, so there's no way you'd be able to get any further promotions there. So hurry up and leave that place and come to my dad's side.
What?
Well, your husband's dad is in trouble right now. This is your job as the wife, right? And you already know that my dad has work to do, still with his company that he's been running. So he needs a woman like you to go care for his needs so that he can get right back to focusing on keeping his company on the rails.
You didn't marry me to be the one to care for your dad when he needs someone to support him. If you're that worried about him needing help, then why don't you go and help your dad out? And you saying that I'm just some city worker doesn't make my job any less important than yours. All you do is work for an office for some large company. And you actually get more time off than I do at your job, so during family emergencies like these, you should be able to take a month of PTO, right?
I do have a lot of PTO saved up, but I've never seen anyone use all their time up like that. And if I did take that much time off, can you imagine the impact that would have on me getting a promotion? I'm tired of arguing about this, so just leave the job of yours and come care for my dad.
Then how about until his hands are usable again, we hire someone to come and care for his needs? He could even do that himself since he has all that money from being a CEO. He has to have the ability to find someone to care for him, right?
You're my wife, and having you care for him is free to all of us. There's no reason to hire anyone to care for him when you're right here. All right? This is a strict order from your husband, so you listen to me. Stop trying to talk your way around it and hurry things up with quitting your job and coming here.
That's...
I already told my dad that you'd be coming soon to start caring for him. So the plan's already been set in motion, so I'll leave everything up to you now.
It's been a while, Jane. I'm sure you've heard by now from Phil about my injury.
I did hear about it from him, but are you really doing okay now? You didn't get any other injuries from a fall like that?
I was pretty lucky with that fall, and only ended up with one broken hand and the other one being sprained. I didn't happen to hit my head on anything, and everything besides my hands are alright. Thank goodness my son bought me that smartphone last year for something like this. I'm still able to use it a little bit in my left hand, even with the sprain.
Well, that's great to hear.
Now, another thing I heard from Phil was that you're going to be quitting your job to come here? That will be a major help for me. But I'm really sorry that you have to do that. Are you really okay with leaving that job of yours to be around me all the time?
Whether I'm okay with it or not, this was an order from my husband. And he told me that times like these are why he married me in the first place, so...
What do you mean this is an order by your husband? He told me that you chose to leave your job after hearing about me being injured in that fall.
That's not at all what happened, Fred. Just a few hours ago, he came out of nowhere telling me to quit my job without really giving me any more context. Then after that, he told me that you're in trouble and that I need to be a good wife and take care of you while your hands are hurt. And when I told him that I didn't really want to leave my job, he started to get upset with me.
That's not at all the story I heard from Phil. I'm so sorry, Jane. I may have very little use of my hands right now, but I'll find some way to manage on my own. I don't want to be the one to force anyone to do things that they don't want to do, so please relax.
So you're saying it's okay if I don't quit my job?
Of course I am. It seems that Phil is just trying to use what happened to me for his advantage. I'm really sorry about all that.
Actually, I just told my boss that I'd be leaving my position and everything.
What? So you already let them know that you're leaving that job?
I just assumed that what my husband wanted from me was what I had to do. And when it comes to him, if I ever reject something he asks of me, he gets all worked up and becomes a real pain in the butt. The last time I went against something he asked, it was like a war broke out inside our house. So I just thought I had no other choice this time and would actually have to leave my job for good.
Phil really acts that way with you?
But you don't have to worry about me right now. I'll be around your place tomorrow at the soonest to start helping you. So if you need me to pick anything up for you on the way over, just let me know and I'll grab it all for you.
You being here for me will really be a big help, but I hate that this had to happen to you. Right. Since you're going to be looking after me for a while, I'd like to pay you in return. I'll make it seem as though you're my housemaid, and that way you can still earn money for the work you'll do. How does that sound to you? I'll even make sure that you're paid handsomely for your work.
That really puts a smile on my face. But if I earned any money helping you around, Phil would be pissed off before either of us knew it. Honestly, you just offering that is already more than enough.
Do you really think that Phil would get upset with you? Well, if that's what you're worried about, I'll make sure to pay you in secret, and you can keep it to yourself. I'll hand you cash every month, and so that he'll never be able to find out about us. So please allow me to pay you from now on.
Are you really okay with that?
I wouldn't want you helping me without anything in return. You've already had to quit the job that made you happy for me. And now you have to look after all my needs for a few months, I'm sure. It's only right that I give you money for the work you'll be putting in.
Thank you so much, Fred. Well, I look forward to coming over to your house starting tomorrow.
And I'm looking forward to seeing you again after such a long time. I know that it's not the most amazing thing having to look after an old geezer like me, but I'm glad it's going to be you and not someone else.
Phil, where are you right now? Your dad has fallen down again, and you should have gotten a call from the hospital already, right? Right now he's going to be getting some treatment, but I can't be here all by myself and need you here with me.
That sounds like a lot of trouble for me, so you go ahead and deal with him on your own there. Tell the doctor that I've got work to do that's too important for me to be stepping away from at the moment.
What? Your dad's had a bad fall and you're not even going to come and see him? And what do you mean by you have to work right now? Today is Sunday and you always have work off on Sundays. All you're doing is hanging out at home, so what the hell are you talking about?
Shut up, Jane! If Sundays are meant to be sitting around at home all day, then why did my dad get hurt again? Unlike you all, I don't have time to listen to medical talk all day. I have very important things regarding the aftermath of this to be thinking about right now, and don't need to be dealing with you two.
What kind of important aftermath things are you talking about? Don't tell me you think your dad is going to die now. He may have had a bad fall, but it shouldn't be anything life-threatening.
But I heard that call from the hospital, and they told me he was out for over an hour, right? He already had one fall last year that broke some of his bones, so I think his life is coming to an end now. So before that happens, I want to be early with having my plans ready to go.
What you're talking about right now is crazy. He's not even close to being dead yet.
Whatever. Just take care of him for me. And if he happens to be on his deathbed, give me a call right away.
Hey, Phil, what the hell is with these divorce papers? I had only just gotten back from the hospital after your dad's health started looking better. Why are there divorce papers in the living room that have all been filled out?
Crap. Just when I thought that he'd be done for. I never expected him to make it back from that fall this time. I had hoped that after he died here, I'd be the one to get his company and everything else he has.
Huh?
Well, even if he's not dead yet, I'm sure that this means that he'll have to step down as a CEO. And so if that's the case, that means the next in line for that position would be me, his son. So because of that, you and I are getting a divorce.
I have no idea what's going on right now. Why are you starting to talk about divorce out of nowhere like that?
Because I have a woman already prepared for me when I become CEO.
What? Who the hell is this woman you plan on being with once you're a CEO? I don't want to think that this could be true, but have you been cheating on me?
And what's so bad about me cheating on you? You are the one that quit your job, and you've barely been around our house. And since you're not around the house much, you barely get any chores done, so I have to throw you away.
The reason I had to quit my job is because of you, Phil. You told me to quit my job and go be by your dad's side to take care of him. That's why every single day I've been away from the house so that I could be with your dad and make sure he had everything he needed. So stop with that crap of saying it's my fault that nothing gets done in our house and using that as an excuse to fool around with another woman.
Well, who knows the real reason why you'd always be going over to my dad's house and never stayed with me. Perhaps you weren't even going over there at all, and were out with other men besides me. Even after my dad's hands healed, you still said you needed to be at his house to care for him. That's what started to make it seem as though you couldn't be trusted.
Excuse me?
And so in your place, I found myself another woman to fill in the empty space that you left me with. She's been around for me to make sure I'm happy while having to stay busy with all my hard work. It's because of how kind she is to me that I'll be making her my next wife. She'll become the young wife of a new CEO. So as for you, there's no use anymore in my life.
You're a freaking monster, Phil. Well, whatever now. If that's how you want things, then let's get this divorce. But you're going to be paying me a settlement. I'll make sure that not only you will be paying me, but that other chick of yours that you've been cheating on me with as well.
Hey. Don't try and bully me like that, Jane. And please, don't touch her. She's still only a college student after all. Making a young student like her have to pay you a large amount of money is the worst thing a man could ever do to someone else.
You've got to be kidding me. The girl you've cheated on me with is a frickin' college student? What do you think you're doing getting involved with someone that young?
Well, she was the one that came to me first. Well, she started working a part-time job with the company I'm in, so... When one day she just happened to look at me differently, and things took off from there. And I'm sure that when she heard what I'd be CEO really soon, that's what really made her fall into my arms.
Huh?
And so since this wasn't anyone's fault besides your own, don't bother with trying to get any money from us. If you had never been away from this house all the time, maybe this would have never happened to you. But now I'll at least be kind enough to give you the house. And that should be enough to get you to stop trying to make us pay, right?
Huh? You're going to give me the house?
I'll give you the house as part of us having to split properties, as well as a little extra money for all the troubles you've caused. That should be enough to make you happy without complaints, right? I've been busy getting all this ready for you anyway since yesterday.
Even after your dad had a bad fall, you still never came to see him in the hospital. I had no idea what had gotten into you, but it seems this whole time you've been thinking of a divorce, huh?
Well, everything I've done shouldn't come as a surprise to you. I'll give you the house and everything now, so allow things between us to be over.
I'm fine with that, but I won't be giving it back.
I don't care. I'm going to become CEO soon. My dad's going to step down from his position, and then I'll be taking it and the house he lives in. I'll be able to give my new girlfriend the gift of being my wife, and we can have an amazing life together.
Then I'll make sure to have that divorce paperwork turned in soon for you. Even though there isn't any company around anymore, I'm happy to see you giving me the house and all that.
Huh? What do you mean the company's not around anymore? Hey, what do you mean by all of that?
The company that your dad had is no longer around anymore. Just before your dad had fallen that second time, he made sure to have the company and everything that went with it sold to another, larger company.
What did you just say?
That's why I was a bit confused by you saying that you'd be the next CEO and that the girl would be the next wife to the CEO. Maybe hearing that your dad had fallen again broke your brain in some way.
Hey, Jane! Explain all of this to me right now. Since when did my dad end up selling his company? Why wouldn't he have just given to me instead? And why did my dad never tell me he was going to do any of that?
This is all because of that strict order you gave me back then to leave my job and take care of your dad full time. I was able to hear him talking about it for a long time now, about how he planned on getting rid of his company. And not only that, but I was around to help him out with all of that as well.
What? Is that so?
Even after he had already healed from his first fall, the reason I was going over every day was to help him handle that. He had asked for my help, and so I was there for him to support his busy work that he had to do to find a company to take his off his hands for a good price. Yet for whatever reason, you decided to call my time out of the house helping him me cheating on you with other men. And that was your reason for cheating on me with a college student? You really are the worst kind of monster imaginable.
Wait, that cannot be real. Why would my dad ever get rid of that company? He had me here all this time to take over the company for him, and that's why I've been working so hard. I even expected to be the CEO for the longest time now, so I've been studying day and night to know exactly how to run it right.
Well, maybe you should have been studying more about your dad's company instead of other things. For a long time now, your dad's company has been slowly bleeding money.
Are you serious?
And even though I say that, us selling it wasn't your dad's first choice. But after that fall last year that left him in pretty rough shape, he realized he shouldn't be working anymore. He told me that he's not a young man anymore and should really use the time he had left to sell the company and then enjoy himself. And so instead of giving you the company, he wanted to pocket the money he received for the company and be done with it.
If he was going to be doing something as huge as that, he would have asked me first. Why would he do all of that without my opinion?
We had tried plenty of times to get your input back then. But every time we asked you to come to your dad's house to talk, you told us you didn't have time to.
What?
And when your dad would call you asking to talk, you would reply saying that I'll take care of everything for you. And then succeed that by saying you were too busy with work to listen to him. And so, because of the distance you gave your dad, he gave up on you. And there's your reason for him never having the chance to talk to you about selling his company.
Ah! So that's what he wanted back then when he kept being rude and calling me all the time.
And only a month after that, the company your dad had was done with, and he had sold it. Him falling was around the same time the larger company came and paid him for it.
What should I do? I had finally thought I had that company to myself, yet things are not at all going to plan for me. To make sure that I've been able to get the company soon, that I even forged my dad's handwriting and handed it for him saying that he'd be stepping down.
What?
Yesterday, I had gotten a call from the hospital saying Dad had fallen and was badly hurt. And so immediately after that call, I'd forged a document saying that he'd step down from being CEO. And then I called my girlfriend and told her all the good news about how we won and we'd have a wonderful life. I even went out and got that divorce paperwork and filled it all out for us. And yet after all that hard work I put in preparing for my new future, my dad ended up selling the company.
What the hell were you doing forging your dad's name and using it to take over his company when he was in the hospital?
Now wait. You did say that my dad pocketed all the money for his company, right? I don't think he'll be needing all that money he received, unless he spends it all on his medical bills and stuff for that bad fall. Then there won't be anything left to his name, right? You didn't help my dad all that time for nothing either, right? Maybe you have been eyeing his money as well. He still has the house and other things, possibly, correct?
You do seem to be thinking a lot about this. He still does have some things left over, like the house and the car.
Thank God. At least having some of that left is totally fine with me. Having his car and a house left over is still more than enough to make a little money. At least this time I don't have to worry about a company now. And we'll still be getting a ton of money through all that stuff.
Huh? Why are you thinking all of that can be your stuff?
He has broken bones and has been stuck in the hospital for a bit. And of course, he's not a young man anymore. I'm sure it won't be long before he dies, and that I'll be left with all of his things. Even any money that he may have left over after the medical bills. So in other words, all of that is my stuff now.
No, that will all be going to Jane in the end. I won't be leaving a single thing behind for you on my will, you stupid boy.
Huh?
I never once thought that my own flesh and blood could turn out to be some kind of rotten soul. I'm so glad that I handled all of this earlier and had everything written to go to Jane.
Wait a second! Is this you, Dad? Really you?
Yes, this is your very embarrassed father talking to you. When Jane told me that she'd be going home for a bit to grab some things, I never thought that she'd return to tell me that you had filled out divorce paperwork for the two of you. Right now, I have no idea what to think of you, Phil.
All of that doesn't really matter anymore. I want to know why you've been leaving everything to her instead of the man that you've built a lot of blood and sweat into. Why are you giving her the house and your car and everything else you own?
Well, this is my thanks to her for taking great care of me. Instead of my own son coming to care for me, she was forced into a position where she had to quit the job she loved and take care of an old guy like me. And not just that, but was also there to help me with the company. So I'm very thankful for her. So what's so wrong about me giving her everything after everything she's given me?
No, that's all a bit too messed up. You shouldn't have to thank her for doing her job as my wife. And even if you do want to thank her, you're being way too damn generous to her.
I don't want to hear your opinion on anything I've done. You've never come to care for me, and you never took your wife's life into consideration. And the worst thing of all is that you've been cheating on her with some young woman that's still in college.
Dad, can you just calm down a little? I know what's going on here. What's really happened is that Jane has been threatening you and forced you to give her all your things, right?
What did you just say to me, Phil?
She threatened you by saying that if you didn't give her everything in your will, that she'd stop caring for you, right? You couldn't use your hands back then, and there was nothing else you could do but give in to her threats, right? And ever since then, you've been too weak to run from her, and that's why she's been able to take advantage of you, right?
Because you happen to think things that way, I'm through with ever dealing with you again. I'm thinking this is it, boy. You no longer have to worry about anything that has to do with me. I don't need you around to care for me now, so never ever show your face around me again.
Wait, Dad!
You can't even care for your own wife, and you can't even take care of your own dad. I can no longer stress myself thinking of you as something like my family. If anything, I'm a pretty bad dad for not leaving my company to you. So for both our sakes, today is the last day we'll be called father and son.
But wait, Dad!
Do not come to the hospital to see me. Actually, I'll make sure they won't let you in if you do come. At this point, if I see your face, I'm gonna want to strangle you. And the doctor told me not to get my blood pressure up. So now, Phil, goodbye.
Jane, how's about you and I act as though we never needed to get divorced? I've been broken up with that other woman now. Well, I wouldn't say I broke up with her. The moment she heard I wouldn't be CEO anymore, she bolted and I couldn't even get a reply from her again.
Well, why would anyone want to marry a penniless man after they've been caught lying? And I'll have to say no to your request. I don't ever want to get back together with you now that you've gone and cheated on me.
What?
And even if I did, I've already handed in the divorce forms.
Well, if you leave me, then what will my dad and I do? I know that my dad said that he cut ties with me and all, but he's going to need someone to care for him, and I'll be his only option. But I have to still work my job, so I can't be at home to watch him. Please, Jane, you're too nice to just throw my dad away like that, aren't you?
Yeah, he's done a lot for me to get where I am. And so that's why I'll be looking after your dad still. And I have to say thanks to you since you gave me the house and everything in the divorce. So I think we'll sell his house and live in our house together.
What? You and my dad will?
I may have been caring for him for a year now, but it was never that difficult for someone like me. Unlike you, your dad's a real gentleman and will always say thank you for all the chores and cooking I do for him. He'll even tell me that my cooking is delicious when he eats it. So because of his kindness, I promise that I'll care for all his needs until the very end.
What? You're going to be divorcing me and you'll still live with my dad? There's no way things like that actually happen.
Of course, from the outside, people would think that's pretty strange. But to me, your dad is like my second father, so I could never leave him behind. And when you consider that I'll just be his housemate or something like that, there's nothing at all that's weird about us living together. He told me that he's still going to be paying me after all, even when you and I are divorced.
Huh?
He told me that his house and care wouldn't even be a part of how he pays me. Although even by just receiving them from him, I'd be fine with caring for every need he has. I'm going to really do my best to make sure this last stretch of his life is the best he's ever lived.
Would it be wrong if I came to live with you both too? I promise that I'll never cheat on you again, okay?
You already know the answer to that one. You are not the kind of person we could trust living under the same roof as us. So with that, have a great one, Phil. You should be happy that both the woman that was getting in your way and caring for your dad will no longer be a problem for you. Now, enjoy life all by your lonesome and live it any way you'd like. After that, Fred was able to make a pretty full recovery from his injuries, and he was released from the hospital to come and live with me. I'm not sure if it was because he no longer had the stress of his company on him, but after coming back home, he didn't even seem like he needed my care. He was able to go out and about on his own and enjoy whatever hobbies he had, all without my help. And because of his great health, I was also able to make up some good hobbies, and Fred and I lived a great life together. But then there's Phil. After trying to get back into the job he'd had for the longest time, he was told he would be let go as they found out about how he was trying to go into his dad's company. Of course, that would no longer be happening. However, the company that did buy his dad's company did allow him to join, although the new job would only pay him half that of what his past job paid. And while there, he tried hard to get with some of the female employees, but they all told him to get away and that he was too old to be hitting on young women. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We look forward to seeing you at the next story.